Hey everyone, welcome to another video. And this month we're gonna be looking at this render that we have here on screen. And yeah, I think there's a couple of things that could be interesting to share, and hopefully there is something to learn here for everyone. As always, thank you so much for being here, and yeah, let's just get right to it. So a little bit of backstory about this render. I saw this is a real chair that they sell in the real world, and I saw it online, and I knew that I had to, I felt the need to just try and model it and do a render with it. So this is the first one of hopefully a few that are going to be coming out, just explorations. And I should probably show you, I can show you real quick how the real chair looks. And here's my pure ref. And this is how the real chair looks in real life. It's a really interesting chair, and as you can see, not very complicated to model. So yeah, I went ahead and modeled it. Obviously it's not perfect. As you can see, this one has a little bit more of a gap here, mine doesn't. So anyways, let's move this out of the screen. So that's the thing. That's a little bit of backstory behind this, and obviously I wanted to have very dramatic lighting as always. That's something that I gravitate towards to a lot, and yeah, I think it came out really well. I do want to start experiment with more interesting materials and lighting situations, and yeah, hopefully with this chair I'm gonna be able to do that. But in any case, let's move on to Cinema 4D. And here we have the file. So the first thing that I wanted to share with you guys is the modeling of the chair. Nothing fancy, but this is one thing that I've been doing for a few years now, and I think it's a really good practice, especially for something like this. So if I go to my layers here, you will notice that down here I have a layer called Instance Masters. And the Instance Masters, if I fold everything here, I'm gonna show the masters here. The Instance Masters is nothing more than a null that has objects in it. So in this case, I'm just gonna solo and show in viewport. In this case, we have the chair, and the cool thing about this is that the chair is flat on the viewport. So that means that let me save, hopefully this is not gonna crash. There we go. So this means that I can go to each viewport and have everything show in the proper way. If I unsolo this here, you'll see that my chair is behind here in a different placement and on an angle. So that means that if I needed to come back and do some more work on the modeling and stuff like that, it would be a little bit more difficult, at least for me, to try to use the orthographic views. So having the instance master here allows me to just go back to the original model and redo what I need to redo, and then the instance is just gonna update, and I can move it around, rescale it, and apply a different texture and all of those things. So let me solo this again. So the way this is working is basically I have guides here, which are simply just splines for the guides, and I'll go into that in a minute. And the main chair instance, this is the null that's being instanced in the other instance object. Here I have two versions of the chair, as you can see, and yeah, it is simply that. I have my plane here with the symmetry, and let me hide this one and show this one so that we can see it. So it's simply like that. So it is simply half of the chair, right, that I'm doing a symmetry on, and then subdividing and then adding a little bit of extrusion to it. And the way that I did work on this chair was probably a little bit too longer than expected, but that's why I have the guides here. So I started by, maybe I can bring this back out. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Oops. Yeah, so I started by, trying to make the contour or the profile of the chair, and I used just some splines to as guides to do that. And then after that, I did go in and started using my pen tool, and just simply trying to model the chair like this, just so that I had a profile that I could just use a plane to wrap around. And after I did that and I had the contour, I just made that editable, as you can see here, and just started to adjust the chair or the modeling here. In the end, I did make a copy, and instead of using the symmetry, I just made it editable. And this is because I wanted to be able to, if I hold shift and double click the UV, I wanted to be able to control the UVs and not have it repeat. This is because in the beginning I was playing around with different textures other than just the wood, so I was playing with patterns and stuff like that. So using the symmetry was really, screwing things up for me. So yeah, I did that. This was working the UV was a little bit of a pain, but with the new tools it was a little bit better than in previous versions. So so what else? Let's see. So yeah, I usually, whenever I have maybe like in this instance the chair, but I've done this also with big scenes that have like cityscapes or buildings, I would do the instance master thing, and then I can come back to my main instance and do any adjustments that I need to make and keep everything organized in my scene. So as you can see, this is the instance masters. The layer is hidden from the render and from the viewport, and I also hide it from the attributes manager. But because I am using this tool here, where is it? Not spline, but trying to select. There we go. So this is a chair instance, and this one is going into the main chair instance, and this is why it's still visible, because the children are not visible in the viewport, but the parent is. It's a little bit confusing, but hopefully just try it out. Trust me, it does work. So that's how I modeled the chair. The other thing that I did model was this table that I also saw online, and obviously this was very simple. Just a cylinder, and then for the legs I just used splines and adjusted to make it look kind of similar to it. I think it came out pretty good. Obviously I did model all of this, and then I went to the camera and I was like, oh damn, it's super far away and we can see it, but it stayed. I added the plant, and this plant is from a website, let me pull it up, that I wanted to share with you guys because it is amazing. Screen record. Yeah, this plant is from this website called Seal Project, and I haven't gone through all of the terms and conditions here, but everything seems to be free to download and use. But yeah, I definitely recommend it because there's a lot of things here, a lot of 3D models and whatnot. They are mostly for Macs, I think, 3ds Max, but you do get to download FBXs and OBJs, which sometimes is a pain in the ass because you have to reapply the textures and work those around. But hey, it's a lot of things that they have here. So yeah, I definitely recommend you to check them out. This one was suggested to me by my friend Ross Mason, who has an amazing YouTube channel too. You probably know him. He's been all over the place lately. All right, so let's keep going. So the plant is from there, and the other things, obviously I modeled these the walls, which are simply just booled objects, as you can see here, and this is how the room looks from afar. Let me show. Why isn't my camera showing? Oh, it is showing. Okay, so the camera is in there. Obviously the camera needs to be also like sort of in the room, because otherwise the lighting would get to this side of the room, the frontal side or the foreground part of the room, and we don't want that. So that's that. The stairs is something that I also think is a really good technique. Obviously it's super basic, but actually let me go to another file. So if I grab 2 cubes, I can do this like that, and then I'm just gonna grab 1 cube and show you, and I'm gonna put that in a cloner. We're gonna say instead of grid, we're gonna go to linear, and I'm going to remove all of the position and also the reset coordinates. And I'm doing this because I am going to make a copy of my cube, and instead of iterate, we're gonna go to blend, and this is just going to blend how many clones you have here between these two things. Obviously you want to try and keep them sort of the same polygon count, but look how easy it is to create stairs. So from here I can just continue to increase this here, and obviously you need to rearrange your bottom or top step, but there you go. That's how I made the stairs in this one here. And as you can see, I did make it editable so that I could resize and adjust, but they both have the same amount of polygons and whatnot. So that's that. So this one is a bool, and then these things obviously is kit bash, and if I go back out, you can see the kit bash here. This is not really affecting the scene at all, but I just wanted to show it here because I am using some kit bash elements. Same thing with the electrical outlet in the wall or on the wall back here. This thing is also from a kit bash, which is not really like high resolution or high definition. You can see the modeling is really crappy here, but for something from far away, it gets the job done. All right, so let's go into the lighting, which I think is going to be one of the more interesting things here. So the lighting is pretty simple. Let me grab my Redshift render and let's just start this up. And I'm going to make a little bit more space here. And for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to go to 40%. And we're going to grab this like so. Okay, so I'm going to get out of the camera here. All right, so the lighting is composed of a couple of suns, a rim light, another light for creating this lighting here that we see on the ventilation system, and a spotlight to create this highlight on the chair. So again, pretty simple. Let me just disable all of this so we can see it. So the first sun is a little bit smaller in diameter and very intense, and it's the one that's creating the main source light coming from the side. The second sun is a lot more bigger and softer, so the intensity, as you can see, this one is 4.5, the first one, and then the second one is 1.5. And this is a technique that I saw sometime online from a guy at Pixar that they do. Sometimes they do like duplicate suns, and then one of them is a little bit softer, and that helps to create a little bit of a halo around the sunlight. I'm not really sure that I got it here, but it gave the whole scene a little bit more of a I don't know, it looked cooler, so I left it here. So that's that. Obviously my global illumination depth is set to 8 instead of the default 4, just so I got more bounces inside the room here to create a little bit more lighting. And the sampling is you know, super simple, 64 and 256. I didn't even touch the threshold, and I just did the duplicate for the reflection and the light in the overrides. What else? So the rim light is helping you know, contour the chair here a little bit. And if I go to Photoshop, you can see it here on the side, just so to separate it from the background just a tiny bit. And the fill front is the one that is just illuminating the ventilation system up here, as you can see. So probably maybe not even necessary, but I thought that it helped you know, contour or shape the ventilation system a little bit more. And also, you know, it creates a little bit of contrast because everything is so warm in this section, and there's a little bit of a cool light here on the top, or yeah, on the ceiling. And other than that, it's just the spotlight on the chair, which again is helping just bring some attention to that. If I enable everything else but the spotlight, you can see, actually let me turn on my denoiser so that it cleans up a little bit faster. Let's see. Yeah, you can see that it still looks cool, but it's missing a little bit of something there. So the whole idea, the idea behind the spotlight is it didn't come from just, you know, looking at the picture and saying, oh, it's missing something there. The idea came from, this is a reading area, so I was imagining that there was like a spotlight here in the ceiling, you know, attached to it, and this person, whoever comes here, just comes in and turns it on with this, and you know, you have like a reading light here, like the ones you see on airplanes or something like that. So that's where that came from. Other than that, I am using a little bit of a LUT here, the Advantix 400, and as you can see, it just helps with the contrast a little bit. Color controls, just a little bit of adjustments to the curve and the exposure and contrast, and then as always the photographic exposure, just to control those highlights here and not have it to go to post-production, and a little bit of a bloom just to help create that there, which I'm thinking now maybe it could be less intense like that. But that's the lighting for this. The only other thing that I did do in this one is you can see everything is pretty bright here, so I used a plane to create a little bit of shadow, and this is super simple. I did try bringing like real geometry of a tree or something like that, but this worked better. So it's nothing else more than a plane. And if I go to the materials and pull up the texture, I just connected a Maxon noise to the opacity of the plane. So if I go here and let's disable this, you can see that it is simply a Maxon noise with some transparency, and because the sunlight is going through it, we are getting a little bit of, you know, like a pattern here. It is very soft, but it's still there. And if I go down here, I need to work out a different arrangement here for the layout because this is super small. So I'm using just a simple noise. I cranked up the overall scale and a little bit of contrast here, and that seemed to do the job. You can see it here now that it's cleaned up a little bit. You can see that there's just a little bit of shadow, you know, here, and that just helps create a little bit more interest. You can see it here too in the final one. Other than that, for the textures on the floor, obviously the texture on the chair is just simply a wood texture from Grayscale Gorilla. Textures on the plants are the ones that came with the plant. And let me go to the wall here. So the wall here and the floor and the other walls have two different textures, and this is because I wanted this wall back here to have a little bit more of a tactile feel. So that's why you can see a little bit of the pattern. And for that, I simply used a roughness texture from Surface Imperfections Concrete. This is from Quixel. So let me see if I can open it up. And oh, I don't know what I did there. Independent window. There used to be a way to open this up in the, well, this might work. Yeah, so it's simply this texture running through a ramp that's not really doing much, and then going into the bump 0.2 so that it's not super harsh. Then the same texture going into another ramp, and here I did adjust the colors just so that I could make it a little bit more. This is for the diffuse, so it's a little bit of 2 tones of gray, and then for the reflection it's another ramp with a lot more contrast so that we could see more of that in there. But other than that, pretty straightforward. I did render this in what is it, higher resolution, 2000 by 2500. So that's what I did there. Oh, and the material for the floor here, which is a little bit reflective, it always helps. Oh, that's one thing that I did want to mention. The feeling that you get in the foreground here, it's coming a lot from the material. If I remove the reflection here, you'll see that it gets obviously a lot more darker. So that's something to keep in mind always. The reflection, it's not only just the lighting, especially for situations where you have darker areas. It's not just the lighting or the lighting that's getting into this room. The reflection is also helping light and shape the scene a little bit more. So that's why you see everything here. For that, I am using a texture for, just kind of the same, like a metal texture going into a ramp and going into the reflection here, just to create a little bit of break it up a little bit more. You can see it better here. If I go to 100%, you can see it better here. Nothing too complicated. And for the bump map, I didn't really even use a bump map for this one, only to do a little bit of around corners here. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We are up to 23 minutes, so I think I'm just gonna end the video here. Hopefully there was a little bit of insight in this one. And yeah, as always, just let me know what you think of the video, if you have any questions, or if you have any suggestions for more content down the line. And thanks again for supporting my Patreon. Hopefully you are learning and getting some useful information from me. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys later. Peace.